Hello there, I'm Lauren Phipps. I currently work in digital comms and I did a digital marketing apprenticeship.
I'm Natasha. I also work in digital comms and I studied fashion journalism at university and then also did an apprenticeship in digital marketing.
Today we're here for National Apprenticeship Week to answer some questions sent in by the public all about our experiences. So question 1 is from Sam. Sam said, I'm in college and thinking about my next step. University seems like the normal route, but I don't want loads of debt. Do apprenticeships lead to the same job opportunities as a degree? Do you think that?
Oh, okay, so, well, first thing I probably want to highlight is that although you do get debt when you go to uni, it's not like your average kind of debt, so it's not debt to worry about. So in terms of the new way that it works, I think it's called Plan 2 or something like that. The way that you repay your student loan is only when you're earning enough, and the debt also gets wiped after I think it's 25 or 30 years. So I think it's important if your heart's telling you want to go to uni, not to worry about the debt side of things, because I've seen Martin Lewis, the money saving expert, say it. The debt gets wiped out, so it's not one to worry about. So focus on your education and what you want to do, not the money side of things. You can help it. I would also say, in terms of job opportunities, what do you think? Because I know you went a different way. You didn't go to uni.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I think one of the main reasons why I didn't think about uni was to do with the debt that I've heard a lot of people get in, and as the years go by, that it still kind of follows them a bit. Whereas for me, although at school, I'd definitely say university was pushed more than apprenticeships. I didn't really hear too much about apprenticeships when I was at school. It was more when I was considering my options of what I wanted to do that apprenticeships started to become a bit more popular. And I liked the idea of the fact that you could be in a working environment and learn at the same time. But I definitely understand both perspectives of why some people would want to go to uni and other people would want to go to apprenticeships. But for me, I just preferred the apprenticeship route.
Yeah, and I can see that definitely. 'Cause obviously, me having been to uni, I feel like I can see how with obviously an apprenticeship you end up with a lot more experience, hands-on experience. It depends how you like to learn, because that hands-on experience, to be honest, in my opinion, probably is more likely to get you a job opportunity, because a lot of employers do still look for degrees and stuff like that, but only really in very, very specific fields like quantity surveying or being a doctor or something like that. So if you're into more creative stuff, just anything that doesn't necessarily require that, I think employers are more so now looking at your experience that you had. So I agree. I think there are probably more job opportunities in a way if you do an apprenticeship, but obviously you've got to build those skills initially. So if you're pretty set on the career you want to go into, you know where you want to go, studying a degree in that to begin with, I think is a good idea, because you obviously in a working environment, you've got the pressure of colleagues and getting on with the team, and there's deadlines and there's consequences to the work that you do, I suppose. So you've got to think about that. Whereas at uni, there isn't really consequences. The onus is on you. Apart all that you kind of care about really is the grade that you're going to get and that kind of thing. And that's all in your control. So I think it's a space. It's almost like a safe space where you can get to grips with the technical skills of what you want to do. Say you want to go into filming or something like that, you can learn how to use cameras properly, all of that kind of thing, without the pressure of the working environment. But as I said, that being said, I think it's still important to somewhere along the line get that work experience. And at uni, it can be quite difficult when you're looking for placements and stuff like that, often unpaid. Whereas with an apprenticeship, obviously, you're earning while you're learning.
That's a very interesting perspective, actually. I never thought about it like that with the working environment. And there's actually a question that leads quite nicely into that. Chris asked, some people say you need a degree to get a proper job, while others say experience is more important. In 5 years, who'll be better off, a graduate or someone who's worked straight from school?
Oh, let me just get my
And
all out.
I do have some tea. I have a bit of tea actually on this. I don't know if I should know this.
Oh.
Basically, in a job interview, I was told that I was not against, but my competition, I guess you'd say, was graduates.
Okay.
Graduates. And obviously in my head at the time, I thought, well, I've got an apprenticeship qualification, but in my head I thought if they're from uni, they're going to just get the job. Like, I'll try, but I was like, I already kind of thought I'm not getting the job.
Yeah.
When actually, after I got the job, when I spoke to one of my manager, they basically informed me that actually it was due to my work experience compared to the graduates that actually got me the job. Also, they said on other factors as well, but they said the main reason was actually the work experience they could see that I had. So I thought that was quite interesting, because I think sometimes there is the mindset that like you only can get proper jobs if you've gone to uni, and again that was pushed at school a lot, whereas I think nowadays apprenticeships are becoming a lot more popular. A lot of people are seeing the value in real work experience, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think, because thinking back to like, I don't know, assemblies and stuff when you're in sixth form or college or whatever, they always pull up like, oh, this person went to our school and they went to this uni. And you have to sit there and look at how they've gone on to get a first at Oxford or something like that. And you're like, wow, okay, could never be me.
I know.
And it's interesting how schools do push that agenda quite a bit, I think.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. And I think, but in terms of 5 years' time, I would say, again, it depends what kind of job you're looking for. But if you think about 5 years when you've been at uni versus 5 years when you've done an apprenticeship, however long your apprenticeship is, whether it's 12 months, 2 years, you've already got part of that 5 years experience. Whereas someone at uni, obviously 3-year degree, and then, you're a little bit behind on the work experience front. So I would imagine, really thinking about it, that someone who's done an apprenticeship would probably be further forward in their career in that sense. So there's certainly a strong argument for it. But I think, again, if you're learning something specific to you and something that you're really passionate about, then those sort of 3 years or so out of that time when you get work experience, and you can get work experience on the side of uni as well. I think that is also quite important if it's something that you're really, really passionate about. So you shouldn't let being behind in your work experience necessarily put you off that route. I suppose you just got to think 5 years time, okay, maybe someone who's done an apprenticeship might actually be in a more established job than me, but I'll be on my way, putting the building blocks in place to a really good career that I'm passionate about. It's just whether you're okay with taking that a little bit longer to get to a role that you really want, I think.
Yeah. I think as well, like there's a bit of a stereotype that especially when I was at school, that like apprenticeships were only for like manual jobs.
So true.
And nowadays there's so much more scope to be able to get like the technical jobs and things like, like what we do, digital marketing. Like,
100%.
It's a really big thing now.
Yeah.
There's also a question from Craig that I think ties in nicely with this. Craig said, I've been in the same job for years, but never got a degree. Now I'm thinking about a career change and wondering if an apprenticeship is a realistic option for someone older. Are they just for young people? I feel like this is a really interesting question because I definitely say that for me, literally leaving school and doing an apprenticeship straight away, I had to grow so much.
Yeah, well, it's like you're in a full adult environment, right?
It literally was just
true.
like having to actually just work, and so I had to mature a lot. But I was really like happy with how it made me grow as a person. I feel like a lot of what I got from that apprenticeship has like followed me for the rest of my working life, and a lot of qualities and skills that I learned. So I'd say for Craig personally, if he's already had a lot of work experience, it's probably an even better position to start something new, to be honest. What do you think? Do you think that apprenticeships are only for young people?
I agree, but I think in terms of like what you're saying, it could be a little bit daunting when you're younger. And I see that might hold you back a little bit. I mean, I think it is important regardless to get some kind of work experience when you're younger. If I hadn't got like a part-time job in a shop or whatever, I don't think I'd have as much confidence as I do now.
Yeah.
It kind of cuts that out a little bit if you're doing an apprenticeship early. You're getting that work environment experience straight away. But in terms of when you're a bit older, I mean, I'm 25, and can't say that I've done enough.
Well, we have apprentices in this organisation that are like past the younger demographic.
Yeah.
And look how well they're doing in their apprenticeships.
And I think it's worth mentioning to Craig as well that he mentioned that he didn't have a degree, right?
Yeah.
That he never got a degree.
No, he never got a degree.
He's still happy with what he's doing, but he can do degree apprenticeships.
Yeah.
So I think for him, where he's at in his career, that might be a really good route to go down. I do know a lot of people have done that. It's challenging.
Yeah.
But if you're certainly after that career progression, it would be a really good move to make. So if he wants to progress in the industry that he's already in, I think a degree apprenticeship, just to solidify his experience and his qualifications, would be a really great way to go. But alternatively, if he wants a career change completely, then maybe it's not a degree apprenticeship. Maybe it is just an apprenticeship in an entirely new field.
Yeah.
But he has that, those soft skills already because he's got, life experience, work experience. So I think there's a couple of options there, but I definitely would say you're never too old to do it. I think it is just a stereotype, right? That
Definitely is.
apprentices are younger.
Yeah. Another thing about universities that I've always known is like the social life and the
that's true.
independent side is what a lot of people like. So Sarah asked, I love the idea of learning on the job, but I also don't want to miss out on the social and life and independence that university gives. Would I regret skipping uni?
That's interesting because I am the wrong person to be asking in this scenario because I literally was a hermit. Like I got my own studio flat, my own little kitchen. I didn't go on any nights out.
I was not on
that hype. The closest I got was like a fancy brunch with girls I met at uni. That was it. So I didn't really go to uni for that purpose.
Yeah.
But everyone's different, right? I think I'm certainly a unique case in that sense. So I think it's a really good question. Like, for me, on that front, it comes down to your gut. Like, if you want that freshers experience,
yeah.
I assume. I mean, I don't know because I didn't really partake, but the sort of stereotypes about what uni life is like and the going out, and certainly in your first year, is true. Like, you do a lot of going out. You meet because you're thrown in. If you're living in halls, you're thrown in with like, new people. Like, you are just gonna like go out partying, right? That's what people do. I guess that could hold you back a little bit. Like if that's your motive, then you may not do as well in your
focus might be.
Whereas if you go straight into an apprenticeship, perhaps you're just focusing straight away. And I guess that's where I'd be interested to throw it over to you because even doing an apprenticeship, do you meet people your sort of age? Should you go out and party with them or?
It's interesting because I think it's different with apprenticeships that you're not seeing those students that you're with every day. Like, I guess with most unis, you have like lectures and you know who you're going to be with. Whereas with my apprenticeship, I only see them once a month, like my fellow students. So I wouldn't really say that I built the same kind of like friendship that you would probably at uni. I guess, it depends on your personality and also if that's what you want out of it. For me personally, I liked being with everyone else in my apprenticeship. I like to talk about our individual experiences, but I think if you have like a separate friendship group outside of your education and work that you're getting that social life from instead, then you don't need to find that. But then obviously if that's something you want, I understand why someone would rather have the uni experience than apprenticeship experience. I feel like you can still make friends, but it's not as focused on that because you're not seeing them as often.
Yeah, okay.
So I think everyone's different in that aspect as to what they want out of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I guess then if we're answering her question, maybe she would regret it. Maybe she would regret it. Maybe if she wants that.
You still get independence with apprenticeships though.
I guess,
you still get in. And it also depends for me personally because when I left school and went straight into work, I was starting to get paid. So for me, I was like, oh, like I can go and
you can afford
buy
to go
those trainers. That I've been wanting, like, and I can go.
Not to Empress.
Whoa.
You can afford to go buy.
Yeah.
So in terms of sort of that independence, you're right. Like if you're earning, that's really going to help with, a fun outside of work, outside of studying kind of lifestyle because you can go buy more things you want, spend more time socializing. Whereas, I mean, I guess it's kind of a stereotype that students tend to be on quite a tight budget.
Yeah.
So there's that element of it as well. It depends what she's after. She's after just independence and sort of little bit of socializing on the side. I think apprenticeship's fine. I think it's great. But if she really wants that full-blown experience that we all know comes along with uni, then maybe it would be a little bit of a regret to not try that.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth mentioning that, if uni's not for you, there's no shame in having to change your mind along the way. Try it for a year, maybe it's not what you thought, and then you go into an apprenticeship. So, it's not set in stone. It's all fluid, and you can find your own sort of path in life, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Wow. Tash, I'd say you're quite a unique case, because
Not because of my hermit lifestyle.
No, well, that too. But you've actually had the experience of both an apprenticeship and a degree. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
got a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Talking about money,
Yes.
would you say you noticed a difference in when you was at uni and obviously you spoke about that a little bit,
Yeah.
how it all worked, compared to with an apprenticeship, getting a wage? Would you say that you felt freer in one or the other, or felt more limited?
That's an interesting question, and one that I could probably ramble on to answer for quite a long time, which I won't. But I feel like when I was at uni, I went to uni in London, so it was what I wanted. Like, I really did enjoy the city lifestyle. I lived in the middle of the city. It was great, but it was expensive. And I got a higher amount of maintenance because I'm living in London. So it depends where you are.
Yeah.
So, and as I mentioned, I was staying in a lot of the time, so that saved me quite a lot of money. So I think just spent my money on food, and
that's enough in London.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It was expensive, but I actually didn't find that too much of a struggle. I will say though, very lucky with family support and that kind of thing.
Okay.
You've got to remember that sometimes your maintenance loan is going to be going towards paying for accommodation as well. So then it really is stretched quite thin. So if that is something you're using your maintenance loan for, I think you are going to feel the effects of it.
Yeah.
For me, in terms of then moving on to an apprenticeship, definitely I think because you've got that solid income coming in.
Yeah.
And, spending quite a lot of time at work as well as studying. Maybe you haven't got as much time when you have necessary to go out and just be like, I'll sack this lecture off. I'll go do some shopping or something.
Yeah.
That's not really an option, as much as I don't encourage that anyway. So you maybe spend less money in that sense anyway. And I think it does feel nice to be almost being paid to learn, whereas at uni you're paying to learn. So it's the opposite way around. So that is a really nice feeling. But what I will say is it's definitely important to make sure you look for an apprenticeship that caters to your needs in terms of salary.
Okay.
Because we all know apprenticeship wage, most people think it's not that great.
Yeah.
I, being in my position, I am a little bit older. I'm 25 now.
Yeah.
Started my apprenticeship when I was 24. I have a mortgage. I have a cat who's my baby, and I have to look after him. So it was important to me to find an apprenticeship that had a salary that I knew I would be able to manage on.
I think it's different for me because I was 6.
Yeah, exactly. So to be honest, when you're 16 and you're getting even if it's a relatively small salary, that's going to feel brilliant.
Yeah. I was rich in my eyes.
Yeah, and if you're living at home, so
yeah,
exactly. I think that's a big. So it depends on your point in life.
Yeah, definitely.
But certainly, you're going to feel better off. I think if you're in your teens, you're still living at home and you're earning.
Yeah,
you are going to feel better off for that. Whereas for me, it was important to find something that helped me, live on and pay my bills. So perhaps I didn't feel quite as affluent as a 16-year-old would have done on
that makes sense. Do you have a main pro and con of both uni and apprenticeships?
Ooh, the big question.
Sorry, it's quite big.
Just in general, or in terms of the money side of things?
Just in general.
Just in general. That's what I've touched on before. Pro of uni is that you don't have the pressure of a work environment to be learning your skills. Because I'll be honest, first couple of weeks of my apprenticeship, I was asked to do something, and I was probably a bit I don't know what I'm doing, and then I panicked, and it's daunting, and maybe you don't produce your best work because you don't really know necessarily. If it's a completely new field, you don't really know what to do.
No.
Obviously, as time goes on, and you're surrounded by great support, great teammates, everyone who's going to encourage you to learn and help you to get better.
Yeah.
then towards the end of it, that daunting feeling is completely gone, and you feel much better.
Yeah.
But if, like I said before, I think a pro of uni, is not having that pressure around you necessarily to learn. Like, you can make mistakes. You can in an apprenticeship as well, but you're obviously going to feel a little bit more conscious of it.
Yeah.
So I think in a uni environment, you can make mistakes. You can, if content doesn't turn out the way that you want it to turn out, me, digital marketing, not that I did actually study digital marketing at uni, but just from a theoretical point, then less pressure in that sense. So you can do you a bit more, I think. Big pro of an apprenticeship is work experience.
Absolutely.
It's invaluable.
The biggest one.
And I think it's more important almost than a degree now, as I was kind of touching on before.
Yeah.
I feel like my degree that I did, because it was in a comms field, helped me to get this apprenticeship in a way, because I did a BBC apprenticeship and was quite a competitive sort of.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. So if you're gonna sort of strive yourself towards those like career apprenticeships with really big companies, Amazon.
Yeah.
Was renamed. All good places do apprenticeship. Maybe. So WMCA offer apprentice. I mean, what could you want? So I feel like it's a little bit more pressure, a little bit more daunting, particularly for a younger person in an apprentice environment, I think, because you could be coming into quite an established office space or construction site or, theatre, wherever it is that you're going into. Yeah. Established team, they all know each other, but this is a step you'll have to make in life at some point anyway. New team, new environment. So, as we were sort of saying before, why not do it whilst you're young? Yeah. And build those skills straight away, because you'll be thankful for it later in life. You have that confidence, that ability to work with the team. But yeah, perhaps a little bit more daunting would be the con. Not that it's so much of a con necessarily. And then uni, you just don't get the experience. And because of that, I don't know, you come out of uni and you're competing with so many people who perhaps were even on your course, or people in different universities who've got the same sort of degree as you. I mean, in my instance, doing fashion journalism, I'm looking at Vogue, Elle, anything like that, like something really like a big publication is what, in my head, that's my dream. In reality, it's hard to even get a job at a small publication, let alone let it be paid. Like, I had to keep doing unpaid internships to keep building up my experience. And even then it wasn't enough. So ended up just back at home working in a shop. So not that would happen to everyone. I mean, I know people who've been really successful out of definitely. My drive wasn't there, I don't know. But I think in terms of just feeling confident writing a job application, much more confident now coming out of an apprenticeship than I was coming out of uni. So very interesting.
Thank you. That was very insightful.
You're welcome.
I guess it really does depend though on each individual, and as you said before, what they actually want to get out of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So if you would like to know more information after this thrilling podcast, sorry, no love. You can have a look at WMCA offer lots of apprenticeships.
And TFWM as well.
And CFWM. Transport Skills Academy is part of that. And you can have a look, see if there's anything that's available for you. That probably made no sense.